Rodi Underworld here. We all know the guy, Anthony John Soprano, the ruthless Machiavellian, cold-blooded mafia boss. But what if I told you the popular take is completely wrong? What if, despite all the violence and all the ruthlessness, Tony Soprano was actually, fundamentally, right? That's the thesis today. We're not here to claim he's some kind of saint. We're here to argue that within the framework of his world, his choices, his actions, and his intensity were entirely justified. To get why Tony was right, we need to forget the popular comparisons and start where his story truly began. His childhood? Let's dive in. Tony Soprano is not like Walter White, Dexter, or Light Yagami. Those guys chose their darkness. Tony was born into his entire moral system. His concept of loyalty, even his view on women, was all forged by the brutal code of Cosa Nostra. His father, Johnny Boy, and his uncle Junior were high-ranking capos. Tony inherited the life. He didn't pick it out. When his dad died from cancer early in Tony's 20s, he was forced to step up and run the operation. Most young guys mess up and tank things. We see that on the show, but Tony didn't. That tells you his father trained him well. So here we have a successful man, a family man, constantly trying to draw a hard line between his two worlds. A loving, protective dad and a Machiavellian boss. To truly judge if he was right, we have to judge him on those two separate realities, home life and the underworld. Let's start with family man, Tony Soprano. Two questions everybody asks. Did his job hurt his family? And who wants a cold-blooded killer for a dad? First, Tony nearly kills himself, trying to ensure his work does not bleed into his home. Even when he's broke or cornered, he tries to shield them. He's not a serial killer, he's a mafia boss. The Cosa Nostra structure actually encourages family. It's vital for a moral check and to keep things normalized. Second, in an era where dads are burnt out, detached, and basically just housemates, a man like Tony Soprano is arguably what every son needs. Look at AJ Soprano. When AJ has a crisis, Tony doesn't baby him. He gives him tough, real-world advice to solve his own problems. When AJ got into a fight, Tony didn't care that he fought. He cared that he didn't win. He was teaching him about life's hard reality. And remember the beach party? Tony pulled AJ aside, asked if he was closing the deal with the girls, gave him advice, slipped him cash, and said, "Attaboy, that's my son." Tony is a pragmatic guide who forced his son to face the realities of life. With Meadow, he's more sensitive, but just as protective. He doesn't forbid boyfriends. He ensures they are solid. He repeatedly warns Jackie Opperl Jr. to quit the gangster nonsense, something he would never do for anyone else, all because Meadow liked him. He even bought Finn a job to keep him close, laying down the law: I pay, you eat. You do that again, I rip your head off. You pay when you have your own family. He's literally incentivizing Finn to build a stable life. Tony is an intensely present, if unorthodox, father. The problems in Tony's home life overwhelmingly came from the women around him. Carmela Soprano knew exactly who she married. She married the strong, masculine provider. Her problem started when they moved to the rich suburbs. She saw other wealthy, safer white Americans and grew to resent Tony's life. She forgot that the wealth of her neighbors came from stock manipulation and tax evasion, while Tony was robbing trucks. The methods were different, but the dirt was the same. Carmela started blowing up every small issue into high drama. The constant nagging, the stress it leads to Tony's panic attacks, and it inevitably leads to his eye wandering. His infidelity might be his only true personal flaw, but he never put his mistresses above his family. And then there's Livia. Tony's mother was pure disaster. No matter how hard Tony tried, Livia projected her rage toward her dead husband onto her son. She even plotted to have him killed with Junior. Tony was forced to threaten her because her death was the only way to protect his family's safety and prosperity. Livia was a destructive force with no love, even for her own grandchildren. Tony was seeking what the Ducks gave him in the pilot: unconditional love. He was surrounded by women who loved him but constantly tried to change him. Switching to the underworld, Tony was a Machiavellian, yes, but he was a loyal patron who always paid his men. All his famous anger, all his cold-blooded murders, they were always about betrayal and necessity. Varsilon Metin didn't kill for sport or for extra cash. He killed to protect himself and his entire crew, and by extension, their families. When someone messed up or posed a threat, he warned them. If they persisted, he acted swiftly. Consider Ralph Cifaretto. Tony gave him every chance, but Ralph crossed the line when he killed that stripper, Tracy. Tony saw that as a violation of his own values and a threat to their code of conduct. Ralph was uncontrollable. When he started challenging Tony's authority, Tony had no choice but to eliminate the liability. The college episode is the ultimate proof. Tony sees the former FBI informant at the gas station. He calmly drops his daughter off for her college tour, returns, strangles the man, and then immediately reverts to the role of a loving father. He does what needs to be done when it needs to be done. He possesses an iron will. This killing was business, not pleasure. Finally, let's quickly address the question: is Tony Soprano a misogynist? No. The reason women flocked to Tony and simultaneously fought him is because he represented a strong, dominant masculinity that clashed with the modern doctrine they were taught. His power, his emotional balance, his protective nature, it was irresistible. Yet, they couldn't control him, which led to a fierce internal conflict. I want him, but I hate that I can't tame him. Even Dr. Melfi saw him as an object of desire in her dreams. Tony simply existed. The conflict was theirs. In conclusion, Tony Soprano was right. He was a man trying to preserve his inheritance, provide security, and adhere to the brutal code of his world. Within those brutal confines, he was both a consistent father and a successful boss. He is far more balanced than a man like Walter White. What do you think? Does this make Tony the justified hero of his own tragic story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and tune in to Rodi Underworld for the next deep cut analysis.